This is the Hackman House. It was in Conway Park in Creve Coeur. Was in Conway Park. On this day back in August, it was about to experience what its next-door neighbor, the Cluster Cabin, was going through. They're both from the 1800s, and they were moved here years ago from other locations. But the Creve Coeur Parks Department decided to donate them to Faust Park's historic village. And so the Faust Park team showed up to do what they do. Micah Kornblum was making sure that the pieces had been properly marked and recorded for reassembly, because this is something that requires careful documentation as well as heavy equipment. That's Jesse Francis driving the forklift.
And taking buildings apart and moving them, something I've been doing for the last 40 years.
Yeah. This is not their first log house. And in fact, it wasn't ours either. We first met this team last spring when they were working on another historic building that for years had been hidden inside a St. Louis County garage. This was no ordinary cabin. This one-room log building had served as a school for black children in the days of segregation.
It'll be the first building we have that is solely an African-American building. So it's something that we've always wanted to preserve.
After taking it apart, they stored the pieces. Every single piece before it was removed was tagged with a metal square, stamped with a letter and a number, and nailed on, indicating exactly where and how it would go back in. And for the pieces that were rotten or unstable or missing, woodworkers were crafting replacements. And where needed, new logs were being hewn and notched in the very same way that the original builders did. By August, things were looking pretty good. I mean, it's looking like a log house now.
Yes. Yeah, it's looking different from the last time you were here. Almost completely up is the back wall and the front wall. There's one more log for each wall. The side walls still need to be raised some, and then this is the window.
We had expected to find the reconstruction continuing, but work on this schoolhouse project had been put on hold because the crews were busy out at Conway Park.
You should come out and see the two cabins that we're taking down. They are very interesting as well.
So yeah, we wanted to see that. The Cluster Cabin, built around 1800, was all tagged and in the process of being taken apart, and the pieces moved to Faust Park. But the Hackman House, it was still intact. It had started out half this size, and then was added onto, and Micah took us in for a tour. I can see, I mean, it's still got wallpaper in there.
Well, it's decorated differently because this portion of the house is not the oldest. This is the part that was added on, and it was added on later during the Victorian period. And so you have plastered walls, you have wallpaper. Front door. This is the original. This is the original cabin. But the house is lovely, and just think, you're able to double and triple and quadruple the size of your home.
And that was the plan.
That was the plan. Yes.
It was a starter home.
This was a starter home.
Yeah.
The next generation who lived here had 10 children. You needed to add on. Yeah. And so they were able to do that, and they did.
We've come back a few weeks later, and I'm glad we did, because we expected to find out how things were going, did not expect to find that most of it was already gone. But there was still plenty of work. The floor joists were no small matter. The ones on the newer part of the house had massive saw-cut joists 26 feet long. And on the original one-room house, joists hand-hewn from logs. You can still see the axe marks. And Jesse Francis sees a lot more than that. Every house has a story. It's not just about the building, it's about the people.
People that are trying to build a house to move into.
Yeah.
This is a weird house because this corner, this half of the house is a V-notch log, and the other half of it is half dovetail. So it's like somebody got mad and quit, and another carpenter came in maybe, I don't know, or the family goes, I can do this. And so they started with V-notch and went, well, it's taking too long, and Mom wants her house done.
This is part of our region's history, with people dedicated to preserving it. And there's more out there, right?
Oh, yes. Every time
even in this area.
Oh, yes. 2 years ago, I went to Ladue. Went inside, this guy said, I got this log house, but it's inside my building. And it was in the middle of this beautiful estate. You know, it's like, why didn't they tear this down and build? Well, they just kept adding on. And then some architect came in and remodeled the whole outside, and you couldn't tell it was in there. And I think there's some right now on Mason Road, just down the road here. And
So do you tell people, call me if you think you're going to tear this down?
I generally let people know if there's something that piques my interest.
Yeah.
I'm still looking for a full-size completed or French vertical log house somewhere either in South St. Louis or North County. There's a couple up there, but I know there's got to be more.
The smaller cabin that was here will be rebuilt at Faust Park next year. The Hackman House in 2024. And with those pieces now stowed away, they're back to work on the schoolhouse for completion by the end of this year. For Living St. Louis, I'm Jim Kircher.